There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the stare down and a few words exchange.
I haven't seen.
You're gonna see Saturday,
bro.
Saturday
Even
night.
the little clips on the what is called that we just had, the gloves off. What the was you throwing?
Hey, you know what? Davis's corner. So you have Coach Calvin, and Coach Calvin is the head trainer, and you have Coach Kenny, who really specializes on preparing game plans specifically for opponent.
Gervonta Davis left fans stunned when he boldly slapped Lamont Roach during an intense face-off. The moment escalated quickly as Davis unleashed threats, vowing to destroy Roach in the ring. The atmosphere turned electric and explosive. Neither fighter flinched, neither gave an inch. This dramatic exchange didn't just stir up interest. It poured gasoline on their already fiery rivalry, making one thing certain: this isn't just a boxing match, it's all-out war and could become one of the fiercest, most bitter battles of the year. Gervonta Davis has entered a whole new zone mentally and physically under the intense guidance of longtime coach Calvin Ford. He's training in silence. No flash, no distractions, just pure effort. But here's the difference: things aren't like before. The old DC circle that influenced his last camp, gone. This time it's tighter, smarter, and locked down. No outsiders, no drama, no peeking. Rumors once claimed Roach had inside info on Davis's plans. Those days are done now. It's pure business. With Ford steering and vengeance in his soul, Davis isn't training for just another fight, he's preparing for war.
He's 100% correct. Personally, I had Gervonta Davis up a round, because whenever you have rounds where nobody's doing anything, I'm not just going to do what most people do, and especially people that don't like Gervonta Davis, which is just give the round to the other guy because Gervonta Davis didn't manage to knock him out that round. Okay, so this is Gary Russell Jr. clearly saying, man, no, I don't think Lamont Roach won that fight. You also had Al Bernstein, and Al Bernstein, I'm telling you, is a very, very straight, fair guy who I don't know if he was on that call, but he used to work with Showtime. I don't know if he was on there. I don't recall if I heard him. I think it was Rolly Ronaldo that was calling it. But Al Bernstein, who was a very, very objective person, said, hey, look, no, sorry to break it to you, but Gervonta Davis won that fight. Yeah, Lamont Roach put up a really good fight, but Lamont Roach was not dynamic. He did not do anything to really separate himself from Gervonta Davis. He just kept it equal. He just tried to keep it even the entire fight. And that's not enough, again, to take the belt from the champion. Now, I do want to say that the people that thought that Lamont Roach won, I don't have any problem with that. I really don't have a problem with it at all. I personally, again, had a point for Gervonta Davis, but I can see how those swing rounds really could go, depending on who's looking at it, really could go different ways, right?
The Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach rematch is already a monster 150,000 pay-per-view sales locked in before the bell even rings. That kind of hype doesn't come easy. It shows this rivalry isn't just real, it's electric. Fans still remember how insane and chaotic their first meeting was, and now they're dying to see if Davis reclaims his crown or if Roach crushes him again. These figures aren't just strong, they're symbolic. This rematch isn't your usual do-over, it's the real deal. With this much buzz, both fighters are more than athletes, they're headline stories in boxing's biggest saga.
Tank out here selling under 150,000 pay-per-views, you kidding me? Oh man, Face of Boxing, yeah, turn that shit off. Yeah, we shutting that shit down every single time. Does Shakur really want to fight Tank? I think Shakur could sell a bit more with somebody else, especially in Saudi. I feel like they can find him a dancing partner that'll do a little bit better than 150,000. Okay, I get it. This is why PBC delayed this fight for 5 months? Y'all ain't want to pay this motherfucker because y'all know he can't sell. I mean, this should have been evident. If you do the math, Tank has never been that great of a pay-per-view draw. He sold over 300K twice now in his career. He sold over 300K with Ryan Garcia. That's obvious. Ryan's the bigger star. And then he sold over 300 with Martin. He sold about 325. But when we put it in perspective, That Frank Martin fight was a comeback fight after a year layoff, so it was always going to sell. Every comeback fight's going to sell. It was one of the first pay-per-views on Amazon's new PBC deal, so they were really trying to push it. And then he had David Benavidez as the co-main event with Gary Russell and Alberto Puello under them. You take away all those factors that this wasn't a comeback fight. David Benavidez isn't the co-main event, and Amazon has now been in the game for over a year. It makes sense it only sold 150. I know there's going to be a couple of you guys in the comments. No, it sold 500K. Don't be so gullible. They didn't sell 500K. I don't know if Tank's a top. Well, I know for a fact he's not a top 5 draw in the sport of boxing anymore. Well. He's not selling pay-per-views. Bivol better BF just triple him. Well, Jerry, their pay-per-views are cheaper. Don't matter. All that matters is who has more eyes watching him, and Bivol and Better BF do. Tank does not.
Instead of tossing their strategy, Davis's camp made a smart pivot refine, don't redo. After dissecting the first fight, they pinpointed key flaws, shaky timing, and lost confidence mid-battle. So now, they've honed the details, attack patterns, spacing, and the weaknesses Roach took advantage of. This isn't some last-minute makeover. It's about perfecting the weapon that's already lethal. Where doubt once lingered, they've installed ruthless, calculated pressure. Davis's essence remains intact, but now he's sharper, tougher, and brutally accurate. That transformation makes him incredibly dangerous.
He got a good chin. Oh, he got a good chin. If you got a good chin, okay, let's go ahead. Let's touch this. The chin ain't the only thing that can get you out of there. There's other things you can do and then go back to the chin. I won't go into details, but I look at shit different from a lot of people, man. You know what I'm saying? You got a fighter that listen, he's gonna be a hell of a fighter if he listens to what I tell him. You know, all fighters don't listen because some missions you put them more. You gotta walk through hell to get it done, and every fighter is not willing to walk through hell. You know what I mean? But the chin is not the only thing to get a fight out of it, and the body's not the only thing to get a fight out of there. It's other shit too. You know. You gotta hurt. I believe in hurting them. You can hurt. You gotta hurt them to get this started. You know.
PD, thank you for the $2. People were surprised by Roach and Tank. What do you think the biggest surprise was in the fight?
It wasn't a surprise because we know Roach. It wasn't a surprise. Roach can fight. A lot of people think because a person is not popular, they don't exist. There's fighters out there that can rumble. They just got to get the opportunity, you know?
That apparent knockdown in their first bout might have been pure chance. News sources report Davis wasn't actually dazed, he was distracted by some kind of irritation. Possibly a grooming product messing with his eyes. If true, the story changes. What looked like weak endurance or shaky defense may have been a freak moment one. That had zero to do with Roach's strength. For Davis fans, this supports their belief all along. His toughness was never in question. And now his team is on full alert. Even the tiniest issue like product residue won't be allowed to derail another mega fight.
Everybody really think Tank go take the L. I've been seeing it. They say it's over. They think that this time Lamont go in more confident, knowing that basically he can, really take it to Tank. Yeah, I want him to go in there confident. He's very skilled. Go in there confident because you gonna go up against a different Tank. Like I told y'all in previous videos, he go in there confident, thinking he could walk Tank down. Don't forget, with Tank, if he get you on that button, them lights going off. I don't care who you is. Remember how it ended up with Frank Martin? So yeah, don't go in there thinking that you going against like somebody that, like Ryan Garcia, somebody that's gonna fold. You going against Gervonta Tank Davis. And I think that confidence is what's gonna get Lamont dropped. Because one thing I will say, with Tank, that wasn't your best fight against Lamont, bro. I feel like you was in your head too much. You was overconfident, and you was really just, your mind was in y'all story, the lore and everything with y'all history. You ain't going there like I'm fighting a stranger. You going there like, oh, this Lamont, this from the same camp, we from the same area. But now I think that whole situation woke him up, because you got to think, Tank not used to losing. He not used to people being against him. He not used to being the one that...
Ex-champion Mikey Garcia shared a sharp take on Davis's odds in the rematch. He praised Davis's raw gifts and quick adaptability, but didn't sugarcoat the truth skills won't be enough. The real battle, he said, is mental. All the chaos media, frenzy, family stuff, fan noise has to be totally tuned out. Garcia's point hits hard. Davis can absolutely win, but only if his mind is clear. The showdown isn't just about throwing bombs, it's a deep dive into mental toughness and laser focus. Fall short on that front, and everything could fall apart in a heartbeat.
I'll let you go because I know I got a lot of shit to do. Lamont Roach versus Gervonta, the rematch. It looks like it's gonna happen. Hopefully, I'd like to see it.
I think Tank wins in the rematch.
Why?
I think he'll make the right adjustments and he won't take too long to fight. He kind of gave a lot of the round away sometimes. I think he'll be more active and he'll win. But big props to Roach for his last fight and performance. Fuck, surprised everybody.
Right.
I think he was robbed from the victory. Again, that knockdown should have been a knockdown.
Right.
But whatever, he gets a rematch, and maybe they get a third fight, after that. Who knows? Maybe
it turns the markets back out.
Maybe it turns out to be another great fucking matchup and they say, let's run it back.
Right.
And maybe that controversy from the first fight actually helps Roach fucking get 3 fights out of it instead of just the one, or you never know. So hey, things happen for a reason, and I think he did really well in his first one.
After that first clash with Roach, rumors exploded online that Davis might be done with the sport. But instead of dodging the noise or feeding the gossip, Davis clapped back the best way he hit the gym. No delays, no excuses. He didn't let the headlines shape his image. He seized control himself. Scheduling the rematch so quickly wasn't just smart, it was personal. It proved exactly what Davis is made of. A fighter who never hides from failure, he chases it down. That mentality. Flip the story. Davis isn't fading, he's storming back to claim what's his way.
I just want to know, when is the rematch going to happen at this point? Because I'm not going to lie, for it to be a whole month later and y'all still arguing over who actually won, it's just really like, okay, yeah, run it back, because we got to go ahead and settle this, squabble this up. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to say neither fighter in here is shitty, okay? Because after the fight I seen on March 1st, yeah, they both was tagging shit, both getting up with each other, okay? I feel like this is the perfect match. If anybody's gonna do a rematch, you need to be down, period. And Gervonta was stinging him. I'm not gonna lie, he was stinging him. Great fight for him. But I'm not gonna lie, he came out knowing what he was trying to do. Y'all have to give it to him. Like, y'all just be hating, okay? Y'all can't get in the ring and fucking fight. Y'all just be hating. At least I'm giving them no day props, okay? Because Gervonta had a great fight. Don't get me wrong. My money was on him. But I think what messed him up was the fact that when he came out, y'all know he usually be 2 steps ahead. He was 3 steps ahead. I feel like he already had Tank figured out. And he definitely was not expecting that. And him, on the other hand, I think he came in really having something to prove. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Like, it was a really good fight, and I feel like this is how I see it. In the beginning of the fight, he was stinking, back to back, you know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the fight, that's when he finally kicked it up. But I seen consistency through him through the whole fight. I'm not gonna lie, like, so I just feel like the rematch should have happened, because never know, he might, now that he was 3 steps ahead, become 8 steps ahead, and he might really knock his butt down. But at the end of the day, it's like, we need this rematch, because I don't think this is ever gonna be a dispute that is settled and, officially he won, he lost until they fight. Like, we gotta see it.
Boxing analyst and veteran voice Teddy Atlas recently gave a deeper view on what makes Davis so deadly. While many fans drool over his chaos and viral footage, Atlas looked past that at his distance control, tempo, and the calm he keeps when pressure peaks. To Atlas, Davis isn't just muscle, he's a brain. He doesn't panic or over-comment under fire. He stays cool, reads the moment, and attacks with icy calculation. That mental clarity, that's what upgrades him from simply strong to outright dangerous when the stakes are highest and the lights are brightest.
He's going to try to get to us, but we're going to frustrate him. He doesn't get frustrated. He takes his time. He's deliberate. A lot of times at the beginning, people thought he was just a seek and destroy missile. They thought he was just a guy that got to you. And they thought that he would get over anxious. He don't get over anxious. He takes his time. He slowly closes those gaps, inch by inch, step by step, and then he gets to you.
Analyst Stephen A. Smith weighed in, pointing to what he sees as the key mismatch: physical dominance. Sure, Roach has brains, speed, and solid technique, but Smith isn't buying that it's enough. He believes Davis's raw power, long reach, and physical control could simply overwhelm Roach, especially in a gritty, close-quarters brawl. Smith's view is plain: skills and smarts don't always win. Sometimes it comes down to who can bring violence, who can control the chaos. And in that realm, Smith argues Davis might just be too overwhelming for Roach to survive.
And lastly, Stephen A., last name I, of course, want to throw your way is Gervonta Davis. I know you believe in his skills.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
What do you think of his fight with Roach? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think Roach is too small. I think Roach is too small. And that's my issue. I'm not questioning the skill set or anything like that. But it was similar to Frank Martin. You know what I mean? This guy comes in there and you got 18 fights. And I remember watching that pre-fight press conference when he was annoying Gervonta Davis so much, and he cussed by accident. Excuse me. He cussed by accident. He was like, "Ooh, you know, making this up. He hurt me in sparring," and you know, and I knew Gervonta was gonna come for him, and sure enough, that's what he did. Walked right towards him from round one on. But you know, I remember what he said, and it really, really struck me. Gervonta's a smart dude, bro, and he said you really, really should have waited. You don't have enough experience. You really, really should have waited and took your time before you came to me. And that's what Gervonta Davis told him. And he was right.
In his latest training camp, Davis is going all in like a man with something massive to prove. This rematch isn't only about revenge. It's about restoring his legacy. Every shot fired at him, every online critic, he's using it as fire. He's training longer, building muscle, tightening reflexes, pushing his cardio past limits. Each drill is war. Davis isn't gunning for a simple victory, he's hunting dominance. He wants to prove what went down last time wasn't weakness, it was a one-off. And with that drive, Davis isn't just prepared, he's a dangerous force ready to explode.
A step back from the situation. That's why I think he's being hushed right now, because when he come this time, it ain't no talking. And that's why I think it's scary, because we never see Tank in that mode where he don't say a word. I think this gonna be a different Tank. And what's crazy is Tank used to be like that in the beginning, like when he was with Floyd. Like, I'm talking about Tank with the fade, with the waves, bro. He ain't used to be on that showboat and stuff until he got, like, you know, a little bit more in the boxing, you know, thing. Of course, once you with Floyd, you gonna start being flashy and doing backflips off the ring. But in his beginning stages, dude wasn't playing. He was dropping I think that's what he about to go to, bro. And we know that people like, man, did he take Calvin off his team? Nah, like he said, Calvin, his boy. I think he just rocking with somebody else right now to get him some sharper skills, you know, to change up his skill and what people know him by. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I think Tank go take it to Lamont. And that's not me being biased. I think we ain't ever seen Tank like this before.
To raise the bar in camp, Davis brought in Kenny Ellis, a strict trainer known for discipline and sharp fight IQ. With Ellis, there's no room for lazy reps. Every drill is intentional. Every mistake fixed fast. His sessions are intense, crafted to find weaknesses before the enemy does. Under Ellis, Davis is tightening at all his foot placement, defensive shifts, and counter timing down to every inch. This isn't just training, it's total refinement. Come fight night, with Ellis, guiding tactical moves on a dime. Davis's corner won't just advise, they'll strike like a second weapon.
He's one of the best trainers in boxing, second guy in the corner. Is responsible for a lot of the real tactical decisions and tactical analysis that goes on in Gervonta Davis's corner. So you have Coach Calvin, and Coach Calvin is the head trainer, and you have Coach Kenny, who really specializes on preparing game plans specifically for opponents. So to have him talk about what's going on with Lamont Roach, I thought was interesting and insightful, because what he said was that, one, he's not falling for the okie doke. When Mill City asked him, hey, what do you think about the fact that, you know, that Lamont Roach was seen at a basketball game chugging a beer? And I would have added to the question that you see Lamont Roach out giving a bunch of interviews, doing the interview circuit, right? Kind of being a little bit out of character leading into the rematch. Do you think, and this is what Mill City asked, do you think that is something you guys are taking in consideration in preparation for the fight? And what Kenny Ellis said was, look, man, we're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. We know what Lamont Roach brings to the table, and he says that Lamont Roach is we're not believing that he's out there drinking or blowing up a bunch of weight and all of that. You know, he says what most people say, hey, we're going to prepare for the best version of Lamont Roach that is going to, that'll come for us. But the way that he saw the fight coming out was he said he sees it like the fight before, a lot of really crisp shots landing.
That's it for today's segment. Stay tuned. More fire content is on the way.